Alrighty, good morning everybody. It is Friday, July 26th, 2024. Nearly to the last couple days here of July. Let's go ahead and jump back to yesterday and take a look at what happened here. There were beautiful opportunities on the long side. There were beautiful opportunities on the short side. So let's take a look at what happened here. We did say that for starters, we wanted to see the bulls get back through 50% of the day before there to have any faith on the bullish side of things. And they did rally all the way back up to that level. But obviously you can see they went ahead and got through it, pulled back, bounced right off of it, got through. But it was just a peak above that 50% level, and then they brought it all the way back. So it was maybe a little confusing for some of you because it was such a strong push throughout the morning there. But they got right that critical area in the chart that I warned you guys about, and sure enough, that led to the downfall. So let's look at it real quick here. There was a lot of volume yesterday. Sometimes I can fit the entire 512, the entire day on the 512 tick chart in one screen here. And as you can see, here is probably at least almost 2 screens wide. So a lot of volume going on there. And let's look at all these beautiful opportunities. I mean, like I said, whether you were buying levels or selling them, they still rotated nearly to the tick off so many of these different areas. So right out of the open, what do you know? We hold our first roadmap level. How many mornings do we hold the first roadmap level? And it, in many cases, becomes the high or the low of the day, right? Well, in this case, we open and the market holds the first roadmap level. If you would have shorted that, you got yourself a 10, 15 point sell-off. Of course, I would have taken profit around the whole bull and around the previous daily low, but not too bad of a short right out of the open. You could even grab this little tag of the fast-moving average as it was selling off. You could have even tried a beautiful short right off of the holy orange power level here with a bearish divergence as it was peeking right into it there, maybe 1 tick of heat, and you could have got a nice little 5-point scalp right to the previous daily low. You would have nailed the low of that rotation there. You also had a great opportunity to try the back end of the 200 when this is obviously the first tag of the 200. So right out of the open yesterday, you could have got a short off the first roadmap level, short off the second one, short off the third, and then when it came back to test the 200, you could have got another fourth short out of it. And again, taking profit by the previous daily low, you would have nailed the low of the rotation every time, right? So beautiful opportunities right out of the open. And we're going to just see a whole crap load of things here today. So this might be kind of I'll try to move quick here. But as you can see, a lot of holds above the VWAP, and then we get below it. And now we're holding below it and tagging it to the tick there for some great short opportunities. And then starts to fail lower. We're holding the FMA all the way down, gets to the next major scaffolding level, kind of peaks in a couple of ticks, bounces out, holds the FMA, and comes back and gives it a kiss here for the push to our next roadmap level. And from there, you can see a lot of petering out, and then eventually a little push below it. That's our peak below, only to pop all the way back out and come revisit that roadmap level and then start this rally that, like I said, might have got the bulls really on board there, but eventually it petered out right at that major area. So on the way up, again, so short opportunities all throughout the open there for the first half hour. Then we find support, what do you know, right at a major structure zone in the market. That's what our scaffolding levels, are highlighting. And then we get the push up, and it literally stair steps up every roadmap level. So if you bought the pullbacks, first of all to the 200, second of all to that scaffolding, third of all to the major retracement, fourth of all to the VWAP or to the 200, fifth to the VWAP, right? I mean, you had so many opportunities with quite literally no risk to go ahead and get this pop, right? Then it comes all the way up, and out of nowhere, we come up and 1 tick in front of our next resistance, we get the pullback. Pulls all the way back. What do you know? Holds the previous daily close, which was basically that little resistance we had on the push. and then continues on holding the 200, holding the top end now of the roadmap level, stepping up once again, gets through the resistance, pulls back to that roadmap level, gets through there, and then we eventually get all the way up to 50% of the previous day. The moment of truth here for our bullish and bearish bias, and what do you know, you get a beautiful short opportunity off of 50% of the previous day. So you could have grabbed a nice 5-point fade right off of there, maybe even a 7-8 point if you held on. And then finally gets through that previous resistance, which was our next roadmap level, pulls back and uses it as support. So quite literally stepped up there. And then finally, the high of the day was the next major critical support and resistance in the market here, where we find the big rotation, and that leads the beginning of this whole sell-off for the rest of the day. So on the way back down here, as you can see, oh, what do you know? First tag of the 200. How many times do I tell you guys, in a directional market, when you grab that first tag, you have, again, very limited risk, and you could potentially make a whole lot of money in whatever direction you're trading. So there's another example, right? And on the way down here, let's zoom in just a little bit. On the way down, the fast moving average as well was your friend until we got to the first support, which, what do you know, is our roadmap level. And it holds and holds and holds, gets a very sideways here, and then eventually comes right down and uses it as a resistance once, twice, and 3 times there for the continuation lower. Comes down through the next roadmap level here and then kisses it to the back end. So now you can see this is like that inverse stair step, because now we're getting through each roadmap level and then coming right back to it and giving it a kiss. There's the previous daily high. So first it starts up here off the high of the day, our roadmap level up there, gets down through, unfortunately doesn't kiss the first one, but kisses the previous daily high, kisses the scaffolding, kisses the FMA, gets through the next roadmap level, kisses that to almost to the tick, gets down through the next roadmap level, kisses that almost to the tick here, comes right to the 200. And as you can see, just unlimited, like not really unlimited, but an insane amount of opportunities to get in on this market with maybe a point of risk, and you could have got tens and tens and tens of points to the downside. Finally, we get to closer to the end of the day here. We're now kind of getting to the last couple hours in the market, and they come all the way down, and notice how many times they bounce discreetly off the hopple. Once, twice, gets down below it, tries to hold below it. 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and all within that chop, we are chopping back and forth between the scaffolding and the hopple, right? Then finally, it breaks out through there, pulls back to the 200, and we get this chug up to test right back into the 91 roadmap level, peeks through it, and then quite literally kisses it twice. And then we get the fall back down through VWAP, fall back through the roadmap level, fall back through the hopple to kiss, and fall back through the previous daily low to kiss. So there's no excuses. If you got in wrong, if you jumped in short off VWAP and got stopped out, that's just the luck of the trade. It sucks. But there were plenty of 0-tick risk opportunities throughout the day that you should have dusted yourself off and noticed the strength of the bears and tried for another. You know, even if you tried off 91, the VWAP, the scaffolding, the hopple, the previous daily low, I mean, there's just so many opportunities. And sometimes it just works out that you choose the wrong opportunity and it stops you out. But there were so many others that, in my opinion, there's no excuse yesterday. So it continues selling off and then even comes down through the next scaffolding, comes back to it, kisses that. And then at the end of the day, they come down and the low of the day is the scaffolding. So, and then you even got a short scalp opportunity right at the end of the day with a bearish divergence, peak above and fell through the 200 moving average. All right, for just a little tiny scalp there right at the end of the day. So just absolute beautiful price action yesterday. If you zoom out and look, the most notable rotations are quite literally within a couple ticks of our roadmap levels, and then all of the movement in the direction of the momentum, whether it was for the bulls in the morning or for the bears in the afternoon, gave you just so many great opportunities. So that brings us here into Friday morning here. This was the Thursday Globex session, the overnight session coming into our pre-market. And as you can see, they got back up through pulled back to the FMA in the overnight session here. So if you were watching this in real time last night, you should have noticed the the pullback to the FMA there, and then the launch right up through the VWAP to pull back and quite literally give it that kiss to the tick for this attempt to go ahead and retrace the sell-off from the day before. So there was decent opportunity on that little pullback, but again, that would have been kind of a shot in the dark there because there was no strong clue besides the crossover there. But we did see a beautiful launch out off VWAP there, and a super aggressive rally again, basically holding on the pullbacks, the fast moving average on the way up. Again, beautiful opportunity for very limited risk trade with a lot of opportunity for profit, right? On the way up, they come right to, and actually Hopeful wasn't on the chart. They came right to the scaffolding, pulled back, held the FMA, got through it, and then held it to the upside. I mean, how often, we just saw a million examples from yesterday, do we see them respect the level, pull back, hold the level, and then break out through that level, pull back, and hold it for the continuation, right? That's just kind of just non-stop situations of that happening. And then finally we come up here, we're getting close to the open, and what do you know? They come right back to 54.91, our support and resistance we've had on the charts for multiple weeks now, ever since the rollover. And now just before the open, what do you know? They've pulled back, they got through the previous daily high, held it to the tick, and they're holding the 200 moving average right now, right? So just a beautiful display of how reliable these roadmap levels are and how you can use them. You don't have to nail a high. You don't have to nail the high of the day. You have to recognize that we get major weakness off a level, price starts to get back through our moving averages, and then we start to rely on looking for bearish setups. You don't have to just blindly sell a level. You can wait for some follow through and then wait for a beautiful clean entry. Sometimes that means you're waiting for that tag of the 200. In many cases, you'll end up taking on zero risk and could potentially capture 100 points. In a day like this, you got yourself whatever it was, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 points to the downside. I don't know. I'm not counting it right now. But you get the idea. So let's go ahead and jump up to the higher time frames and see what they have in store for us for this morning.